Hello, this is Mrs. Ayala, and today I'm going to show you some of the features on the Cambium STAAR platform and some of the tools that you can use when taking the STAAR test and interim and any of the practice tests. So since I'm just looking at the practice test right now, I'm just going to sign in as a guest. And we are going to use third grade. And we're just going to use the reading practice test. If your student is signing in for the practice test, they're going to have to select their accommodations that they have. I am going to go ahead and select content language supports, spelling assistance, in the text-to-speech at the bottom. We don't want to click the auto text-to-speech because it will just speak on its own, and it will read the beginning of the passage and then go straight to the question before the student even has a chance to read the passage. So that's not great. So we're just going to click the text to speech down here so they can decide when they're ready for those things to be read. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to click select. It's going to ask me to do a sound check.
This text is being read aloud.
And then students can also change the voice if they would like. Go down here and click I heard the voice. It will not let them move on if they don't click I heard the voice. So they have to check. And then we can just click begin test now. All right, so I'm going to go through and show you some of the features and also how the accommodations are going to work on Cambium. So first of all, if you have text-to-speech, they're going to have to get real familiar with using the hamburger. And there's one on the passage and there's one over by the questions. It is not like an Eduphoria where it has the little mic, the little speaker button or the ear next to everything. They're going to have to actually go into the little menu and click it themselves. Another new thing that I noticed is on a lot of these passages, it gives them a little bit of background information up here before they actually read the story. And for our students that have text to speech, that can actually be read aloud to them. But notice down here, then they put the little no speak icon because the actual story, of course, still cannot be read aloud. So for your students to have this part, this little background information and directions read aloud, they're going to have to click the hamburger and then click speak passage.
Read the selection and choose the best answer to each question.
And then if they want it to stop, they can click it again and click stop speaking. And it will read this whole top part until it gets to the no speak icon where they have to read themselves. Another cool feature I like is this little green line down at the bottom of the screen. It kind of shows them how much longer the passage is, but it also helps them know when they've reached the end of the passage. I think that's really cool, especially with paired passages. I know on Checkpoint, I had a lot of students who, for some reason, just kind of stopped scrolling after the first passage and then were confused. Like, I didn't read this. Well, you didn't scroll all the way down. So the little green line tells them that they've gone all the way down. And there's also a green line over here with the question. And that will be really good for those two-part questions. So training them to watch that green line and make sure that it's gone all the way across to know that they've seen everything that there is to see. On the passage also, they can click these little arrows here to make it bigger. I love that. I know just personally taking tests online, I hated it when I had to read something in a tiny little box. So I love that they can make it bigger, and then they can click the other arrow to make it go back and make it smaller again. Highlighting on Cambium is a little tricky. So they're going to have to click and drag to pick what they want to highlight. And then they have to go to the hamburger. And then they have to go down to highlight selection and then pick their color. So it's got quite a few steps to it. I was hoping it would be a little easier. Um, and then it's the same over on the questions. So they have to highlight whatever they want to highlight, go to the hamburger, all the way down to highlight selection and choose their color. They can clear their highlights by clicking reset highlight. And that's that. For reading aloud the question, again, they're going to have to click the hamburger. Now, something I noticed here, if they click speak question, it's going to read them the entire question and all of the answer choices as well. Again, they can stop it after the question if they would like, but if they don't stop it, it will just keep reading through everything. Once they've heard the question and the answer choices, then they can choose speak option if they want to hear a certain option again. So maybe they forgot what C said, they can just click C.
Option C. Definition 3.
Okay, so then some of these questions have these little arrows on the side. This I think is really neat. It shows them what definition 1 is. And then for our kids who have text to speech, they can go and click speak option.
Option A. Becoming less worried, tight, or hard to bend.
And it will read them the actual words rather than just definition 1. So that's kind of cool. For content clarifiers, our kids who have content clarifiers, it will show up as the word just being boxed. They can click on it. It shows them whatever it's going to give them. If it has this little button here,
that leaves less time for other chores and relaxing.
They can just click that and it will read whatever it has for them there. Sometimes it has pictures like this one. And then in the passage, so if the word is actually in the reading passage, it will not read them whatever the content clarifier is. It will just show it to them. I did want to show another cool thing with content clarifiers that we need to be sure our kids are aware of. Let me find it. Here's one. And this is very interesting. So if your student has content clarifiers and text to speech, if the question has something like this, where it's asking about a specific section, so it's asking about the section of the passage, careful in the kitchen, which is, let's see, this whole part of the passage, paragraphs 3 and 4. If they click their content clarifier, it is going to show them those paragraphs. And then, since it's part of the question, it will actually read those paragraphs to them out loud. So that is something very interesting and that we need to make sure those kids are aware of, because that will really help them. We also have the strike through tool. Again, not as convenient as it was on Eduphoria, but what they're going to have to do is actually click the option, or no, take that back. They will click strike through, and then they will choose the option they want to actually strike through. I'm not sure that that's something, I don't even know if that's something I really want to show my students, just because, like you just saw, it's very easy to click the wrong thing while you're trying to strike through it. And then it's also kind of tricky to I don't even know if you can unstrike through it. Yes. Okay, so I guess you click strike through again, click it again, and it goes away. I don't know about that, but that's that. We also have sticky notes. So sticky notes, when you click the hamburger here on the question and click sticky notes, they can type a note that is attached to that question. So if they want to make a note about where they found their evidence, or just a note to themselves about their thinking about that question, they can type it on this sticky note and it will stay with that question. They won't be able to pull it up from other questions. So they can type, I found my answer in paragraph 2, and then they have to click save and close. If they just close this sticky note, it did not save. So if they want to come back to that later, they have to click the save and close button. It will show here that there is a note, but they can't click that to look at it. They have to go back over here to sticky notes to see what they typed. If they are wanting to make notes about the passage itself that they can look at throughout the test, they can click the notepad up here. And this is notes that will stay throughout the whole test. So any kind of notes, if they just wanted to make a note to themselves, I want to go back and look at question 8 at the end of the test. They could write that here and they can look at that on question 40. So this will go throughout the whole test with them. So I can say, look at question 8 again. Okay, and I can, again, save and close. And no matter where I am in the test, I can pull that up. Or if I just wanted to make notes about the passage I was reading, and this is, you can also move this, you can move it around on the screen. So I could put the skill of cooking and then whatever notes that I want to put about that passage, and I can save and close. And again, I can open that wherever I am on the test. So that's kind of a cool alternative to having them make notes on paper for our kids who are maybe faster typers than they are writing on paper. And they may want to use that tool instead. I also really, really like the line reader. So the line reader just helps them stay on track with their reading, and it's really simple to use. So when they click it, it's automatically going to go to the very first line in the passage. And then they can just use their down arrow on their keyboard to go along as they're reading. And this will be really helpful to a lot of our kids. And they do still have to scroll, but they just keep pushing the down arrow. And then if they want to, if they're going back and rereading something and maybe they don't want to start at the beginning, they can click wherever they are and then use the down arrow. They can also use this on the questions. So line reader, click the beginning of the question and it will go down. If they're using it all the way through the passage, then when they get to the very bottom of the passage, it will automatically jump over to the question. And then if they go up, it will take them back to the passage. And so I think that's a really neat tool. And then, of course, we also have the dictionary. And the dictionary, I'm going to do kitchen because that was the word I saw. It will read the word for them.
Kitchen.
Whether they have text-to-speech or not, it will read the word for them. So there's that. Let's see. Another really cool feature that I like on Cambium is that it shows you all of the questions you have just for that passage. I think that's really neat for our kids that need smaller goals, rather than seeing, oh my gosh, there's 40 questions on this test. They're, okay, I have to get through these 8, and then we move on to the next one. So I also teach my kids to preview the questions so that they can read with purpose. And that makes this really easy to do. Like we know, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all going to be about the skill of cooking. Once they're done with those and when they're ready to go to the next passage, they're going to click next up here. It's telling me I didn't answer the questions, and then it'll take you to the next one. This one is a paired passage. So like I was talking about that green bar at the bottom, there's the end of the first passage. Oh, my bar is not all the way across because there's more. So that's that. And I'm trying to find... Okay, here's an SCR. I was going to show you the spelling assistance. I really like the spelling assistance on Cambium. So if I was going to type, let's see, something I can misspell. There are a lot of people. Okay, so when I first type it, it's not showing me that anything's wrong. But I have this spell check button right here. I'm going to click that when I'm all done typing, and it will underline my words that are misspelled. Then I can click it, and it is going to show me options. Okay, so it's going to show me options for what I could be trying to type. And then I can click on the option that I want. And then the last thing I wanted to show was for our oh, yep, that's what's wrong with it. So once your kids are done, they're going to run into the same problem I just did if they don't do this, and you're going to get a lot of questions. So once your kids are done spell checking, they have to click the spell check button again, or it will not let them move on. But it doesn't tell them that's what's wrong. So that will be a good thing for you to tell them, because like it just did to me, it just says it's not done uploading. I don't know what's wrong with it. So you have to click it again. All right, last thing I wanted to show you on revising passages. Gotta find them. All right, this is a revising passage. On revising passages, it will read our oral admin kids the whole passage. However, nowhere does it show me any kind of icon to tell me that that's allowed. So we're going to have to really train those kids to look at this part up here. And if it says revisions, that means it will read the whole thing to them. The editing passages will not, and of course the reading passages will not. But if it says revisions, it will read them the whole passage. So that's another good thing for us to teach them and make sure that they know. Couple other things real quick. The pause button up here, that's a great thing to train our kids if they're going to the restroom or something like that. They can pause their test, and then it will, I guess on the practice test, it's going to kick me all the way out. Well, that's good to know. Pausing doesn't work on a practice test, y'all. Okay, well, the last thing I wanted to show you is real easy, so I'm just going to go back in. Last thing up here, this little bar will show them how close they are to the end of the test. And then this items button is where they're going to see unanswered items. Now notice right now, it's only showing me 1 through 8 because that's the section of the test that I'm on. But as I go farther into the test, it will begin showing me the other sections. And then when I'm all the way at the end, it will show me the whole thing. Also, I forgot flags. We do have flag here. It will put a cute little dog ear on the question. And then it will also be up here that it is flagged. And the tutorial button. I'm not sure if that is actually going to be something they have access to all the time, or if that's just for, probably just for these practices, I'm sure. But that's there for now. All right, and then when they're all done, they would hit end test. I've got to get back to the end. Let's see. Almost there. Okay, so when they're all done, they would hit the end test button. This is going to say you reached the end of the test. Click yes to continue. Click no to keep working. And then it's going to give me one more chance to answer all these questions that I did not answer. And I'm going to click submit. Yes, I want to submit. And then it will give them their score. Now, quick tip, if you are having the kids do the practice passages in class and they're just logging in as a guest, They are going to have to come show you the score, because once they go out, it's gone forever because they were just logged in as a guest. So even if they got a perfect score, you're never going to see it if they don't come and bring it to you for these practice tests. That's not for the interim where they'll have their test ticket. That's just if they're going into Cambium and doing the practice. So that is all of the new features on Cambium. If you need any help, I'm happy to help. And just send me an email.